welcome to Microsoft Mechanics Live. Coming up, we're joined by Naomi Moneypenny for a deep dive on Project Cortex, a brand new service that builds a rich knowledge network of the people, knowledge, and skills for your organization. Now we're going to show you how it works under the covers with Microsoft Graph, Search, and AI, and a new approach with machine teaching to help extract important data. But please join me in welcoming Naomi Moneypenny, who's going to guide us through Project Cortex. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. It's awesome to be here and awesome to see so many people.
All right, so we're here to do a deep dive on Project Cortex. So at first glance, we think about this, it looks a lot like kind of knowledge management, ECM, enterprise content management, enterprise search. How should we think about Project Cortex?
Well, it is a combination of all of those things. So it's really why we think this is so revolutionary. It's the culmination of a bunch of work that we have with Microsoft Research, Microsoft Search, Microsoft Graph, Azure, Microsoft 365, and our Power Platform teams.
All right, but we want to dig into how it actually works. We've got a room full of admins, computer scientists. How does it work?
All right, I'd love to show you. So a little bit important currencies that we think about inside of our organizations. They're really the data, and then, of course, all of you people who bring their knowledge and expertise and all of the skills. So here I can see I'm in an email, and this happens quite often to us at Microsoft.
Right.
Here's an acronym that I don't know, right?
It happens too much at Microsoft.
It really does. So I see this acronym, I can immediately get that highlight on the page, and I'm seeing a topic card as part of that. And you can see this topic card has understandingly what that acronym means, and then I can see there's a quick description here, and there's some people and the resources that are connected here, and so it gives me a quick overview of what's happening. Now, if I go to a SharePoint page, maybe I'm catching up on some news about my team or another team that I'm not familiar with, you'll see right here in the context of that beautiful communications page that I'm getting these highlights here. So these highlights will let me explore a little bit more. And notice that we only have the highlighted term once on the page, right? We're not trying to have a whole bunch of those every time the word Project Core is mentioned, but we're actually surfacing the right kind of information. You can see I've got a couple of actions on there, like following, as well as suggesting an edit to this topic card. So that'll help us with the curation that we talk about later. So when I go to this page, I actually get a topic page that's been generated by AI. And that's the wonderful thing here, is that AI is doing that heavy lifting behind the scenes. It's actually mining through all of the content that we have in the Microsoft Graph, and then generating this page as part of it. So you can see I've got a description here. It's extracted that automatically. I've got people who are referenced here. I've got some resources that have been added, as well as ones that have been curated, and then ones that have been discovered by AI too. And then this is quite possibly my favorite feature here, which really helps you to understand the context of topics across your organization. And so looking at how things that might be connected, maybe projects that you didn't know about inside of your organization, really being able to bring all of that together right here.
It's really a great visual view of kind of where it emanates from and all the different connected parts.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have here, as part of our Year of Yammer, too, looking at the way that we can learn from tacit knowledge inside of an organization. So oftentimes people will have communities of practice. They want to be able to get the hold of the answers within those. And here I can just bring all of that information directly right here on top of a topic page. So that's kind of a great way to think about that topic page. Now let me show you a little bit about how those things roll together. So for example, we'd have lots of projects and campaigns and initiatives inside of an organization.
Right.
And so we're building a knowledge center as kind of a new destination there. And then this knowledge center is a rich place to be able to keep up to date with what you need, and you'll see all these areas here. But of course, because it's powered by the Wisdom SharePoint here, when I go to edit this page, you'll see that I can easily add in different web parts. So I click on Add Web Part, pretty normal, but you'll see as part of this, we have an exciting new range of knowledge-powered web parts. And those web parts enable you to take this great functionality and put it into all the other destinations that you have inside of SharePoint. So you already have your internet portals and other sites. You can use all of this great capability to make all of those experiences richer. So this is really then, of course, surfaced as it needed to go through your everyday work, and it's connecting that people and knowledge and skills all around the information in your organization.
Awesome. So all these things that are really accurate out of the box, you don't have to worry about kind of building these sites from scratch. You can see the integrated experiences in context there. The nice thing is it actually helps then unlock and democratize all the different tribal knowledge that might exist within your organization. So the things that you'd normally have to do, like get coffee meetings with a dozen different people as you come in, or also as somebody leaves, not enough coffees in the world will actually bring that knowledge back sometimes if they've left the organization, maybe gone to a competitor. All that stuff is able to be figured out by Project Cortex kind of in the span of how it's actually detecting and extracting the different information signals that it's getting through the graph. And so you have all the knowledge and the skills to be able to collaborate with the folks that you need to, but How did it end up doing all of that work kind of behind the scenes?
Well, it's really bringing together a number of those technologies that we talked about under the covers. So we've got Microsoft Search, we've got, of course, the power of the Microsoft Graph, which helps to understand all of the relationships and the activities around the people, the entities, and the information that you're probably already familiar with, capabilities like most recently used documents or recommending content when you're inside of SharePoint, as well as thinking about AI and machine learning. And so we really have this foundation for trusted knowledge. And so when you look at how this works, it's working by systematic inferencing. If you think about the unsupervised machine learning that it's using to infer things, and it's able to build up a huge knowledge base starting with very little information. So in this example that we're showing, the Project Cortex is able to infer that core in this case is a noun, and it's able to distill that through all of the source materials, those files, those documents that we showed earlier. And it infers other properties to pull out canonical concepts based on the frequency and reference and associations. Then it discovers more correlated signals across those files, the services, and the content, and it's able to find all of that related material. So as that's building up, it's really using a graphing structure to understand the relationships, it's weighting the importance of the people who are in the organization, and the contributions and the projects, as well as even your relationships inside of the organization's org chart. So of course, the more that it infers, the more confidence it builds in the reliability of the system. So gradually, it's getting a rich schema of data and associated people and all of the kinds of properties. And it's able to present what we think is a really great way of a consumable way of how you're working every single day.
Awesome. So it's all machine generated, but what is the role then of kind of the project owner, the project manager, and the experts then in this case, given that the machine learning is building a great baseline?
So it's a great question, really thinking about how we're generating all these pages automatically. And they really are wiki-like, so that experts are able to contribute to these and to refine the information and the wording and how it's presented. And then, of course, in the future, you'll be able to apply this to how you get work done. So, for example, if we were thinking about our construction company example, you heard earlier this week from Simon Denton at Mott MacDonald. As a construction company, and we're thinking about how we generate a pitch for a new campaign. And even though we might just start off with just a client name and a project name that are known at this point, you'd be able to understand what needs to be done in terms of steps to create the pitch and see who else might have worked with that client to help create a virtual team. And then, of course, as you work on this pitch, Project Cortex will have surfaced that relevant information to you to kickstart your knowledge and understanding.
And we saw this is a really rich baseline of organizational intelligence that you get out of the box, but there are things that we can do to make it even smarter, right?
That's really true. So the system will really make itself smarter with all of that built-in AI. But we can also help you to get the right information from your organization from different formats, such as the forms piece that we have with AI Builder. So I'd love to be able to show that to you right now. When I think about a purchase order, for example, that's coming into your organization, so I'm just putting up an example one here to show you what this looks like. You can see I've got a bunch of standard fields here, and I've got a status message here on the bottom too. And then I can actually pop over to my accounting content center here. And so I check out this content center. It's kind of a new destination, if you will, for having a business process. And it's a great way to be able to consolidate all of that information. So I wanted to show you an example of one that we've already set up earlier. So here's a document library, and you can see that it's actually mined already a bunch of content from that purchase order. Now, if I wanted to upload one of these new purchase orders, I'm going to add this in here, and just grab one of my files from my desktop here. I'm going to grab one of these, and we'll call it, let's grab one of these Fabricam ones here, for example. This should be great. We're going to upload that, and you'll see this would be the sort of a typical end-user experience, right? There's a model that's already been set up here for it to process, and you can see it's uploaded the file right now, and then we'll give a second, and it'll actually kick off the flow for it and be able to extract that information.
So you could upload a PDF, or in this case, like docx files, those kind of things. It's going to be able to take that semi-structured, I would say, kind of content and be able to schematize it effectively so it can actually use AI and intelligence over it, right? That's
exactly right. So the wonderful thing here is that we're able to use this right within the context of the work that you're doing and be able to understand all of this information coming in, and it is extracting that information automatically, so you can see it's populating content here directly here. So it's kind of a great experience from that perspective, and I can show you a couple of different other experiences that we have too. So let me show you inside of the Content Center if I was to create one of these models, which you might be asking, how can I do that?
Okay.
So in this case, the document library, I'm going to go ahead and be able to create my document library. So we'll say Chapman, PO, something like that. I'm just going to create a purchase order documents because you have a lot of purchase orders, Jeremy, all the time.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I'm purchasing a lot of stuff.
And you see we've natively integrated right into AI Builder right here, so I can create a model, and that will send me over to the AI Builder interface, and you'll see we go directly into the forms processing area.
Okay.
So I'm just going to call this Chapman. Let's do that. Create
This is all Power
document.
Platform, AI Builder.
Exactly. And that's the wonderful thing here is we think this is a great opportunity to be able to put all of that machine teaching information directly, machine learning information, directly into the Power Platform, as well as using structured and unstructured documents too. So I'm going to upload a bunch of those purchase orders, and we're going to ask the Power Platform here, in this case AI Builder, to be able to analyze those documents. And it's going to be looking for those fields that we saw earlier. So remember in Word here, we had, in this case, there was a benefits notice. We also had an idea around how we would put all of that information together from your purchase order. So there's kind of two different steps here if you think about it. So the AI Builder is really focused on this area where the formatting of the document looks very similar to each other.
Okay.
So it's a great way to be able to put all of that information together. And then when it has that information, we're able to easily show that inside of the Power Platform. And so you can see it's done some analysis here. I'm going to grab some of the fields that I want.
Okay.
And you'll see that it's actually loading that up. And here we have some analysis. So for example, it's put bounding boxes automatically here.
It's actually found some things, I think, that are unique. Yep.
That's right. So you can see I can pick out the date field, the PO field, et cetera, the ship to, whatever I wanted to extract from here. I'm just going to extract a couple of those fields here. I'm going to click Done, and then we're going to go Next, and then we'll go ahead and train this model and use this model the way that I want to do it. And so it usually trains pretty quickly. Obviously, we've gotten some very standardized examples here, and then we can check out my model. So I'm going to say go, and in this case here, it's saying my model's ready, so we're ready to publish it to SharePoint. And so if you think about it, we're now creating that connection effectively between SharePoint and AI Builder so that I can apply it to the document library.
Okay.
And so this is a great opportunity, and one of the reasons that we really wanted to make this connection to the Power Platform, because we really think it's the best around understanding both the construction of the structured documents that you have inside of the Power Platform, as well as the unstructured data that you have inside of SharePoint.
Right.
So you can see here, it's going to process this form information from AI Builder to SharePoint. I'm going to click Continue. And it will use that flow inside of my Chapman PO library. So you can see behind the scenes what it's done is actually created all of this information here. And obviously, we want to not have the end users have to deal with that, but basically it's extracting that information and making it all possible. And so when I go back to your document library here that we created, you'll notice that it's actually created some columns here automatically for us. So you see how it's actually created. So there was the modified by, the date, and the PO ones automatically.
Right,
so those have been created by AI Builder directly in here, which means that once I now have that information, I can go ahead and upload a bunch of files, and we can start processing some of that information. So I'm just going to grab different ones than we had before. So let me grab those.
And these are image files now, right?
Yep.
So it's even using less structured data than before.
Exactly. So it's JPEGs or PDFs. And so as we grab that information, and you'll see it process it in just a second here. So we're going to have Flow kick off in the background and have all of that information too. So here's a great piece of it. It's all good. It's connecting. And then it'll mine through all of that data that we had too. So I just wanted to showcase how that all works.
So is this kind of teaching then, teaching it how to work using machine teaching, or is that something that's
So that's really different. So that's an interesting thing here to be able to notice around these different kinds of documents. So if you saw before, we had this HR benefits example as well. And that's a very unstructured document, and so you might think about how you use that inside of your organization. So one of the areas that I wanted to show you is like how can you actually use some of that information too. So this is the machine teaching example, and showing here that machine teaching, in this case, we can see we've extracted a whole bunch of that information from those HR benefits, and we've even got things like retention labels that are part of it too. So all of those areas are here. And then if I wanted to teach the machine how to actually understand some of this, I could select these training files. I'm going to start from training, And in this case, I'm going to click on HR benefits. I'm going to grab one of our extractors that we've already built in advance. So I'm going to grab HR benefits provider, and then I can actually help to teach the machine the same way as I would teach a person.
Wow.
So for example, if we were looking at these documents together, I wouldn't say, oh, Jeremy, you need to go match every single one of these patient names and patient providers. I'd probably tell you to look for some keywords that are coming before it or after it, and that would actually help you to understand this. So in this case, you can see that there's some of the status column here. It's all gray right now. If I go ahead and test my model, you'll see that it's going to analyze this information, and it'll actually show me where it actually has a great result. So if I've taught it already that the word insurance provider, for example, comes before the name of the provider, you can see all of that coming through. And you see that a lot of these have gone green already, so that means that my model's working. Now, if I click on one where I haven't gotten a green dot, you'll see that it's actually trying to identify that automatically. So that green text is actually surfacing up that machine teaching information right there. So these are kind of the lots of different ways that you can bring this information together and actually be able to use that inside of your organization. Now, while we were doing that, you noticed that the AI Builder model processed earlier. So here's, for example,
looks like it's fully filled in now. All the columns are populated.
Got all that great metadata as part of this. And then, of course, you can use this as part of this, too, to be able to actually kick off a flow. So the wonderful thing here is I could actually get a status message in this case from understanding what this is happening here, and then I can actually post this directly into Teams too. So it's a great way to have all of those workflow coming together.
It's amazing using the Power Platform, showing how something that's very low code, you can actually add all this intelligence, and you were even able to integrate things like approval steps and kind of the knowledge mining process that was in there. You could use Power Platform even further as part of how you integrate it with Teams. But what happens then, so you've worked a bit with unstructured data in terms of the JPEGs. Are there other types of data that you can work with?
Yeah, so there's machine teaching piece that we were looking at earlier. So this information is obviously that very unstructured metadata.
Right.
And so we're able to extract that automatically in the same way. So it really is using the same benefits that we have here. So we've really used machine teaching to improve all of this accuracy further, and then we're able to do that.
Awesome. So I know that a lot of admins are watching and probably wondering about the best way to approach security and compliance, because there's a lot of information here. You're talking about purchase orders and all the things that are kind of very important, because there's a lot of financial transactions and stuff that we're even showing here in this demonstration today. But are there ways to be able to lock that down and make sure that that we've got our information protected?
Yeah, so it really just works like any of the other productivity solutions that we have out there. So whether it's Outlook, Teams, whether it's file sharing in OneDrive or SharePoint, and any of your existing information policies. So information classification and labeling becomes more important, and even where the labeling of your information is tied to specific policies, such as Microsoft Information Protection.
And we should show kind of what the differentiated permissioning then would look like, because like the rest of the Microsoft graph, it's kind of looking at what you have access to, what I have access to, and based on that, it's actually tailoring the way that it's surfacing up information. So it looks like you've got yours already ready to go, and I'll just open up on my machine. I've actually got lesser permissions, unfortunately, than what you have. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the same Project Atlas and the same topic card. I'll click Show More, and if I scroll down, you'll see in this case, if we look at our two people card areas, I've got a few less documents, let's say, for example, than you do. We've both got 6 people that are connected to it, but you've got 5 different documents. I've only got permissions to view 4, so it means that we're able to use kind of the permissioning, the search components there to just expose what I have access to. So all of this is a very early look at Project Cortex, but you've done a great job in terms of bringing all these things together in such a short amount of time. But when can people expect to start seeing this and start trying it out?
So we really have a number of organizations that are already kicking the tires here. So it's in private preview right now, and we will be available in the first half of 2020.
Okay, very cool stuff. So everybody excited about what they're seeing with Project Cortex? Okay. So we've shown a little bit in terms of what's in Word. Why don't you show us again some of the kind of the in-context experiences that we can expect moving forward, because it's going to get even better in terms of our day-to-day.
Exactly. So we really think about this being shown in all of those Office applications that you use every single day. So in this case, I'm in Microsoft Word, and I can go ahead and use the smart lookup functionality in this case, and actually do that smart lookup, and I will get that same topic card being shown here, and that's a great experience too. And then I can even use this inside of Microsoft Teams. So not only can I just get those notifications of workflow coming through Teams, I could also ask a knowledge bot to help curate a one-on-one discussion that we've had and add that to the topic page as well. And then we're really continuing to build out more and more of those in-context experiences across all of the Office applications.
This is really amazing stuff. It brings together kind of all the AI pieces, the graph pieces, all the knowledge that people need to really get up and running quickly in their work. Amazing stuff with Project Cortex. I think everyone here is loving this, but where can folks go to learn more?
So they can really sign up for our Project Cortex preview, aka.ms/Project Cortex.
All right, and of course, these are all really great tips. And of course, keep watching Microsoft Mechanics. We'll continue covering Project Cortex and much more. So if you're a SharePoint admin, an architect, somebody's just interested in great technology, keep checking back. That's all the time we have for this show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.